Underground Bunker. This is your proprietor. It's Thursday morning, and I want you to go to tonyortega.substack.com. You'll see the court document I'm quoting from today. We have our first update in the Valerie Haney case in a long time. And it's so frustrating. It's amazing what Scientology is getting away with in this case. And we're pretty much the only news organization covering it at this point. You know, Valerie literally had to escape in the trunk of a car to get away from the IT base in California back in 2016, I think it was. She became Leah Remini's assistant and was working with her while the aftermath was being filmed, and she suffered incredible harassment. So in 2019, Valerie Haney sued the Church of Scientology, first for kidnapping, because she had been a prisoner at IT base for so many years, and then for all the harassment she went through. But what Scientology did, they came to court and they said, look, when Valerie left, she signed an exit agreement that included an arbitration clause. Valerie had no idea. She didn't read it that closely. In fact, she claims that she was coerced into signing that document. The clause basically said that, hey, if you have any problem with the Church of Scientology at any time now or in the future, you have to take the grievance to their internal religious arbitration, and you can't sue. Well, the court decided that that was legal, that she had signed a contract that said that, and she could not sue. Her only avenue, if she wants to pursue this legally, is she has to submit herself to Scientology's arbitration, which she did. If she can get through it, and the arbitration can come up with some kind of a ruling that the judge accepts, then Valerie has an automatic appeal to California Second Appellate Division to have them review the decision from the court to force her into arbitration to begin with. That's what she'd like to do, because we know that Second Appellate Division has dealt with this before, and they're very skeptical of Scientology's arbitration. So Valerie just needs to get through the arbitration, and she can do that. Sounds easy, but Scientology knows that Valerie would have an appellate court that's sympathetic to her. So what have they been doing? They've been you remember the only previous time Scientology's ever had a court-ordered arbitration in 75-year history is the Garcias. And that arbitration took one afternoon, not even a full day. The Garcia arbitration took one afternoon back in, I think, 2017. Valerie, they told her she was going to have 3 days. This was in 2023. I happened to be across the street when she went through that. And at the end of each day, she came over with her attorneys, and we talked about what she was going through. 3 days? And at the end of it, they said they wanted even more. But also, and if you read my Daily Beast story about that particular first 3 days, what struck us was they were hitting her with all kinds of questions and witnesses that had nothing to do with her lawsuit. Okay, so she's forced to go to arbitration. So arbitrate her claims. But they weren't. They had a panel of 3 Scientologists in good standing. Okay? So this was Scientology's show. Scientology set all the rules. And, I've had lawyers come to me and say, Tony, there must be some mistake, because in California, in an arbitration, you always have the right to have an attorney with you. No, you don't understand. This is Scientology's internal religious arbitration. Scientology is very quick to tell the court, once you make the decision that it's our arbitration, everything else is up to us. No law applies inside that chamber, because then you're crossing into Scientology's freedom of religion, right? So Scientology sets all the rules. And right away from those first 3 days, we saw how outrageous it was. Valerie couldn't bring an attorney. She couldn't bring a recording device. They weren't going to supply her any kind of a transcript. So when she comes out and says they did this, that, and the other, what does the Scientology attorney do? He goes to court and says, no, none of that happened. And there's no transcript to say who's right. It's so outrageous. So she can't have an attorney, can't have a smartphone, can't have a recording. And they bring in witnesses that have nothing to do with her claims. In those first 3 days, they brought in her ex-husband just to scream at her she was a liar. They're basically abusing her all over again. And the courts won't do anything about it. She did 3 days in October 2023. They brought her back for 2 days in February 2024. And then they said they wanted 5 more days, which took place this summer. And then they said 5 more, which they're in the middle of this week. Well, also this week, there was a previously scheduled status conference in the court. And so Valerie's new attorney went into that court this week and said, look, this is just so inherently unfair. Can you at least set an end date? I mean, this is endless. 15 days. This will be 15 days of arbitration when it finishes up tomorrow, Friday. And there's nothing stopping Scientology from saying, well, we got to have you come back and do 5 more. You know, no end in sight. So Valerie's attorney went to court this week and said to Judge Gail Killefer, can you at least set an end date on this? But once again, Scientology's there to remind the judge has no say. The court literally has no say. It's up to Scientology how long they want to make Valerie go through this. And it's so obvious what they're doing. They're throwing witnesses at her that have nothing to do with the case. They're bringing out... I remember that first 3 days, they spent almost the entire thing just going over the contracts he signed that forced her into arbitration. Okay, already you won that part. Why do you have to keep going over that? Valerie knows why she's there. She signed that contract. The judge decided it was valid. Okay, let's arbitrate her claims. No, they would never get to her claims. They're just wasting her time to wear her down so she'll throw in the towel. Because Scientology knows if they ever actually said, okay, the panel's come to a decision, we've decided, what did they do with the Garcias? The Garcias were asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages, and the arbitrating panel, again, all Scientologists, awarded them 20 or 30, 17,000, I don't know, something like that. It was in the teens, I think. It was ridiculous. The Garcias said, no, thank you. We don't want that. We want the appeal. They want the appeal. That's what matters. Now, unfortunately, the Garcias were appealing in federal circuit that was very conservative. It was based in Atlanta, and they sided with the church because it's a church, right? That's not the case in California. If Valerie can get through this and get a chance to appeal, like I said, she'll be appealing to the Second Appellate District, which is the same court that restored the Danny Masterson civil lawsuit, saying that the Jane Does were not beholden to those contracts. So the Second Appellate Division in California understands Scientology's arbitration and its limits. And that's what Scientology is afraid of. So what they're trying to do is wear Valerie down and make this thing endless until she finally throws in the towel. It's incredible that she's gone this far. I just feel for her. I mean, today's day 14. Tomorrow will be day 15. We haven't heard anything yet, but I'll bet they'll say they need more days. And they're just going to keep it going endlessly. And the courts are just like, no, we can't do anything. It's so insane. It's so ridiculous that Valerie Haney is being abused by the abusers she sued. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I know you're not hearing about any of this on any other news organization. I'm very fortunate that I got to write about Valerie for Daily Beast and I think for Rolling Stone as well. But that was a couple of years ago. Nobody's covered it. Insane. So I'm glad, though, you're checking with the bunker. Please go to tonyortega.substack.com. We've got the document there, the court document, and all the other stories we do every day. We have a story for you every day about Scientology at 7 a.m. Come on by. Sign up for free emails. My stories will come to your inbox every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. Lots more going on, but this is just so outrageous. Valerie, I feel so sorry for what you're going through. Oh, incredible. All right, signing out. This is your proprietor. Talk to you later.